What's up, everybody, and welcome to the night shift here. It's time for North American Deadlock to get rolling. I'm Jake. I'm joined by Dan, DDK, and we are about to jump into some great action. There's been some really interesting switch-ups recently with the rosters in NA, and I think we're all just excited to see what happens on tonight's match.
And also, Happy New Year! Happy New Year, everyone. This is it's the first show of the year, so that's really exciting as well, because this year, Jake, it's going to be a big year for Deadlock. We've already got, I feel like, a lot of people that, myself included, feeling like maybe that open beta is around the corner. Big patch in January at some unknown point, so lots of exciting stuff in 2026.
Yeah, I feel like this is a bit of a patch waiting room, I think, for the next couple of weeks. I think a lot of people are eyeing that with potentially, one of those big patches that always comes and really just blows up the game, adds a ton of stuff, changes a ton of things, and just, gets people reinvigorated for some Deadlock action. Still exciting to see the meta continuing to shift here for competitive teams, at least in EU. Although NA typically just has a completely different read on the meta, so we'll see if there's any carryovers as we get into these matches. But before we do that, let's take a quick look at the format here, how we run things on the night shift. You can see we've already had our EU Challenger match and our EU Finals. And then in NA, it's going to be Floormen taking on Bunny with Clock here in our Challenger match. That's going to be a best of one. And then Melee Creeps await in the finals for a best of three versus the winner of that opening Challenger match. And NA has been extremely competitive the last few weeks. I mean, Melee Creeps has been on top, but they've had to work for their wins. And with the addition now of Pop leaving Bunny with Clock, joining the Floormen, there could be a worthy adversary rising up to that challenge.
Yeah, I totally think that is the case. And we I think we're seeing in general the transfers like this at this point in Deadlock, and just given how close all of the top players are now and how everybody knows how one another plays, you got generally less. The routine players are getting more adaptable over time because they adding more into their hero pool. So I feel like these kind of transfers aren't as crazy and catastrophic as they were once, 6 months ago in the Deadlock scene. So it's really exciting to see that as teams trying to figure out, what they can do to get the best roster going forward as the big events might be, again, just like foreshadowing it a bit here, coming later into the year in the next 6 to 12 months. I feel like it's hard to not see perhaps Deadlock esports really evolving. So now things are getting really serious, I feel like, Jake.
Yeah, I think definitely that upper echelon of players has really started to kind of play around within the confines of the game and really innovate and show new looks, new heroes. And I think that's really made the competitive scene particularly interesting when it comes to not only the drafts, but especially the executions. I mean, recently the meta, I feel like, has really opened up with the soul sharing change. We've seen a ton of activity in the early game, a ton of roaming and ganks and grabbing boxes on the way, and it just adds a lot more skill expression, I think, for players to show off, and a lot of stuff for folks at home to watch and learn from and take to their own Deadlock games.
Totally. And that chemistry aspect as well, something that's also a really interesting one. I think, Jake, maybe you can speak to this a little bit more because, coming from a 6v6 game, there's a lot of players, in a team and a lot of different roles that have to be shared. And I feel like, finding that right chemistry fit is going to be a huge, huge deal, obviously. We've seen that so many roster changes that is in large part. It's not just skill, but it's like, is this going to feel good? And so that's a hard thing to find with 6 people.
Yeah, I mean, I think through all eras of Deadlock, right? Like, as long as we've been running these competitions, there's been really a serious premium on players who add to that team chemistry, whether they're in-game leaders, just effective communicators. That's obviously a huge element here of Deadlock at the competitive level, but honestly, hey, even in a ranked game, right? Like, just having good communication, good synergy makes a huge difference when it comes to your team fighting effectiveness. I mean, it's easy to look at that net worth number and think that tells the whole story, but a lot of the way you get there is good teamwork, and a lot of the way you actually progress that and get towards winning the game comes from good teamwork. Speaking though of progression, let's take a quick look at our schedule as we're getting the drafts ready and getting this Challenger match all set up. So you can see we've got our Floormen versus Bunny with Clock. That's the match coming up right now, and the winner is going to go on to face Melee Creeps in the NA final. So we'll see, what times things end up going for it. It's going to depend, games can go very, very quick, and they could go very, very long. It just all depends on how the teams end up matching up here, Dan.
Yeah, and the Floormen roster it's so interesting because if you guys haven't been watching Deadlock for a while, then, you may have missed just the evolution. I think just a lot of rapid evolutions that we had coming out of what was Hydronation and Sneaky Golem, and now into this Floormen roster. You still got Hydration there. It's going to be with AVG, Lord and MZerbs, the League, and Pop, as you can see. And obviously Rocker's there as well. What to see. Is Rocker going to be playing today?
I'm not sure who's actually going to be in this one. Let me see if I can pull it up. I think what I have is showing no rocker today, so I'm expecting it to be, the rest of the squad coming in. Pop. I see. Okay, so we heard from production. We're waiting. Potentially, rocker could come in as a sub if one of these players for AVG, which would be tough. But honestly, I think it's kind of nice for teams to have a really solid sub as a backup, where you're not feeling like, oh, we're in real trouble if we have to sub out a player. You've actually got somebody on the backup, which I think is probably going to be a rarity given where we are in competitive Deadlock. Most teams are just going to be having that solid 6, but hey, can't hurt to have that backup and give yourself more options if the worst should occur.
Yeah, and I don't know if you were able to catch some of the matches previously in Europe, Jake, but going into this new year, obviously, there's not been a huge amount of action in terms of the patches. Are you expecting to see anything particularly different or any priorities that might have changed?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty interested to see like options like Haze getting picked a little bit more, Bebop. I mean, I think some of these like early game initiators, gankers are particularly high value right now, where we're seeing, Holiday, Paradox, Lash, and then those heroes I already mentioned, right, in like a ton of these games, like really, really priority picked. I think that comes from how active the early game is right now and how much you want those high mobility characters that can not only go around the map quickly, but can actually show up and really have a big impact when they roam into a lane. Before we get into that, though, the specifics, and as I'm sure we've got a draft coming up very, very soon, we do want to say thank you, of course, to our lovely patrons. I mean, the show really doesn't go on without you guys. So shout out, of course, to the huge donations that's been coming in from on our Patreon. It's a great way to support the stream, the best way, since it's like the most direct way to get your money towards this production to allow us to keep running this community event. So far, the support has been amazing, and it all adds up, whether it's like a sub or a YouTube membership or even just watching and turning off your ad block. It all makes a difference and allows us to keep this ball rolling. As we know, I mean, the passion for competitive Deadlock in the community and also with us is so strong.
Yeah, it's very appreciated. To weather us through into, I suppose, bigger times when things roll around and maybe more sponsors come into the scene. But for now, it's been so rewarding to see how much you guys support the show and just in general, just how excited you are for the show and how much you contribute. So keep it up. We will certainly always be super thankful, and I'm sure we're going to be having more things down the line as well to reward you as we kind of workshop that out internally. But for now, Jake, with this match coming up today, what are you expecting to see out of Bunny with Clock? Because we haven't really talked about them just yet.
I mean, in a way, you'd have to think Bunny with Clock are. I mean, it's like not a vote of confidence from Pop to leave a team and go to the opponent, right? So for Pop obviously thinks like, this Bunny with Clock team isn't going to be as competitive as the Floormen, that the Floormen may be the squad that's going to rise up and take on melee creeps. But I mean, Bunny with Clock, they brought in Matt, who's looked really solid on other teams, and this team has looked good across the board. Like Pashibov, yes, is an impact player, but it's not just a one-man show in the many times that Bunny with Clock has really put the test to melee creeps, even taken maps off of them. And so I think this one potentially is going to be, I mean, this might be like the most interesting match of the day, right? Across all like both EU and NA, because this is that drama of like your teammate leaves the team and you have to immediately go up against each other in a match.
Is there who do you think is the X factor for Bunny with Clock? If you had to put it down as like one or two players on that roster?
I mean, I personally rate Tanner pretty high, and I think with Abrams being picked super prio, like in EU at least, Abrams and Billy were in every game, and I think always going like in the first 3. I think Tanner could be particularly impactful in this series. Like whoever's piloting those Billy/Abrams style heroes, maybe the Shiv goes a little bit more often in NA. We saw it's only 2 out of 3 in EU and relatively low prio, but I think those heavy frontliners, I'm always looking at them to have a big game where you're kind of either running over your opponent at a huge force, or you end up slipping behind the game, and it just doesn't feel like you can really get that much done if you can't step up to the plate.
That's okay. That's encouraging that you had that answer, because I actually had some different answers too, which only further maybe makes the case for them that they could do some damage here. I mean, I'm always a fan, like low key, of like Gibbs on the support, especially the Viscous. If he's able to get it, has some like very, very impactful plays just throughout the game with that. And is always doing a great job on the support. But also Aiden, obviously, is like an easy shout also. But looks like we'll be getting to the picks here. And you would expect typically to see Shiv getting prioritized. But I don't know what to think now, given that EU decided to just discard Shiv. for no apparent reason that I can detect. They didn't receive any nerfs. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd one, a hard one to parse out from my perspective, especially because I think Pocket and Infernus have been two of the historical responses, like counter-style heroes, and we really haven't seen those heroes being picked all that often. And so, yeah, I was surprised. I would be really surprised if NA follows suit. I mean, we could easily see maybe EU steps away from it. They're playing a certain style, and NA still wants to value these like in-your-face brawlers. You know, they don't call it burger boxing for nothing, Dan. This comes from North America, baby. With the burgers, we got our dukes up. You know what I'm saying in the lane? Like, I don't need those troopers, those souls. I got heavy melees, level 1, baby. You don't need a skill point for that.
Let's go. Well, you get the belly band, so like, that's one of the melees, the boxes out of the ring meat, the main one.
True.
Has a bat though, to be fair. But
arguably the best burger boxer, Billy, is down. Floormen, see if they grab Abrams on their first two, which has been sort of the other top tier frontliner.
I would say Viscus is surely he's low-key number 1 actually. Got that big fist, man.
True.
And so it's one of those builds, Phantom Strike builds, pretty scary, dudes.
We'll have to see. It is going to be Abrams first. And I mean, Bunny, I guess that Mina is kind of snagged early for Aiden. Vindicta was always like his go-to pick, but it got banned out so many times. I feel like he became a Mina player from responsively to like never being allowed to play Vin. Also, you ignoring Vindicta 2 makes me think, I wonder if the meta has just shifted away from that character. Like the snipe maxing build that was really popular for a while. Maybe that just wasn't seeing the same level of success and maybe falling off.
Yeah, it's quite possible. Mina just in general seems to have gone up in priority. I think she has been really good. Her power spikes are pretty nasty. And Warden's going to get picked up as well, which is really cool to see. Warden definitely, risen in priority and pretty good throughout the game. I think, in terms of like late game pound for pounds, maybe he doesn't necessarily stack up, but he has so much impact in the rest of the game that it doesn't matter too much.
I mean, hey, I think if you get fully online with that gun build, Warden gets to be a very, very scary threat. And they also grab the Pocket. So Pocket plus Mina together gives you kind of insane mobility in terms of heroes that can kind of go out in the map a little bit deeper, scout out enemy locations, maybe steal some camps away. And as strong as Shiv and Abrams are, it might be a little bit hard to like get on top of Pocket and Mina as they kind of kite away and dance out of the fights. Well, this though, Lash is a kind of a great option to deal with some of those characters that are constantly slipping away from you. Grab a slowing hex and some silences, follow up with a big Lash ult. It's going to be something that, frankly, especially Warden is going to have to be worried about too. It's a hero that wants to be right on that line of overextending, and Lash can easily just pull you over that gap.
Good luck to you in your future endeavors.
Okay, Kelvin gets a ban. So it's interesting. Kelvin hasn't really seen too much action, but getting a second stage ban is pretty respectable. Okay, so the ban coming in for Bunny with Clock. Oh, I'm curious. What do BWC want to prevent Floormen from getting here?
Honestly, I think they should ban Viscus. I think Viscus would be a really sick pick for the Floormen. They go with the Cage, which is actually a ban, I think, along a very similar line in terms of like dealing with the support that can really make Shiv and Abrams just unkillable. But I actually think Viscus is fantastic this game. I think the cube is really nice to peel people. The punch can even be used defensively, and we've seen Gun Viscus kind of be like growing in popularity where you still provide a lot of that damage, but at the same time you also still have a lot of the saves that the Viscus kit just naturally has. Floormen go with the Sinclair though, which in fairness, there's some powerful. I mean, Warden I think historically has been like the best ulti to steal. It's just so consistently strong. You already want to build spirit damage on Sinclair. And so, yeah, stealing the Warden ulti, maybe stealing the Pocket ulti. These are pretty scary ults to deal with. And, you block that potential counter where Sinclair can, steal your Lash ulti and maybe give you some trouble.
The burst damage is actually pretty problematic, the spirit burst damage for Floormen at this point. I could also see Floormen going for like a very cheeky, or rather, sorry, BWC going for a very cheeky late pick on a Holiday, potentially. Maybe less so now, but Matt historically is very good on Holiday, and obviously Holiday's kind of like in this like weird undervalued spot right now. I think at least looking at the last year's meta. But Paradox comes in instead, so we might not see that Holiday, but we are still looking maybe for a potential for Floormen to get an extra pick. It is possible. People do that with Lash, but instead we get Wraith coming online, so just there's the M1 carry.
Yeah, they definitely needed a solid carry. Wraith makes a lot of sense here. You know, you have that stun to interrupt Warden if he tries to ult right in your face, and it can be a pretty powerful follow-up stun if somebody starts on Pocket or Mina and, you know, gets some of their defensive skills out, then, okay, the Wraith lift is going to absolutely dominate them. And they go with an Ivy as the last pick. You know, this is interesting. I actually sort of suspect this is going to be a somewhat of a support Ivy. I've seen some builds, you know, people running where you go healing Nova and, you know, not pure support. You're still going to have pretty respectable gun damage, but you sort of build into a healing Nova, build into, you know, some of these annoying purple items, going for maybe a Mystic Slow or a Suppressor, and maybe at some point a Lightning Scroll. And there's just a lot of disruption Ivy can deal while being a pretty massive healer with Heal Nova plus your leash. Like you can kind of heal your whole team up to full, and Abrams and Shiv might really appreciate that kind of a burst heal, especially if they're trying to go toe-to-toe with Yamato and Warden.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a very nice way to round it out, that extra support. I'm actually very curious as to why we haven't seen the Mirage pick actually as well. I think Mirage would have been really viable for Floormen, maybe instead of the Wraith. I guess it just depends on, you know, how you want to play the macro. Because if you feel like you can get that Wraith just like loads of dedicated farm, I feel like it actually can make a lot of sense because you'll come online, you know, quickly enough. It's not really too big of a problem. And also you got Ivy to help, you know, obviously with Wraith, if Wraith is like really wanting to dominate a lane, keep Wraith safe on some of the pushes, there's a possibility. There's also ways to play it on the macro POV, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say here. Whereas with Mirage, he doesn't need any extra help at all.
I mean, I do think this is a game where Floormen are going to be able to funnel a lot of souls to Wraith, especially if Ivy is played as a support, as I'm predicting, which, hey, maybe Ivy will end up just being a secondary gun carry as well. But you've got Lash and Sinclair, who more or less want to fight 24/7. You know, Shiv and Abrams, they can be a big reader. They can scale a little bit well and get some farm, of course. But Wraith is really the one character here that jumps out at you as like, I want to sit in a side lane forever and just farm and make space and be that win con that's, you know, putting a clock on the enemy team. Bunny the Clock round out the draft with the Viscous for themselves, and I think this is going to be a gun carry Viscous. I mean, it might be maybe worth to go a little bit supporty, I guess. Then again, like given their draft, maybe you should probably is going to be a support Viscous, because I'm now that I'm thinking about it, like they don't really have a support. Although we have seen plenty of teams kind of go support lists and just, you know, buy a couple lockdown items here and there across the roster.
Yeah, I think I've seen Gibbs, who plays the Viscous for this team, kind of go a bit more rounded. But I love seeing Viscous get picked up by them, so Gibbs can get on it. That's something that I was talking about earlier that I wanted to see. We're going to get it. BWC versus Floormen here for the Challengers match for the first Deadlock night shift of the year. Of NA.
Yeah, North American Deadlock night shift. We're getting it rolling out with Floormen taking on Bunny with Clock, Poshi Pop, team swapping, joining the Floormen. And I mean, the Floormen, this roster is so star-studded, right? With Hydration, you know, being of the Hydra Nation fame, running like, what did they get? Like something like a 30 tournament win streak in the earlier era of Deadlock. But it's been a couple months, Dan, since they've gotten a win. I mean, it really doesn't feel like they're the top dogs for quite some time now. So the Floormen, arguably with a lot to prove here in this match.
Yeah, certainly. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a really interesting matchup. We get to, of course, see the beautiful new Abrams skin. I think it looks fantastic, actually. Very dapper look. Love the suspenders. Big fan.
We are going to be dropping this skin, by the way, once we get to 1,200 subs. So we're hoping we can do that maybe before the end of January to kick off the new year with a fresh new Night Shift skin. I like this book, man. It's like seriously clean book. Nice quality skin, you know, it really fits the theme. I like his hat too, low-key. He's like the scariest newspaper delivery boy you ever did see.
Yeah, I think they did, Ozzy did a great job on this one. But speaking of the lanes, what are you liking here? We've got Shiv and wait, is Zerbsy on the? No, it's Hydration actually. I would have expected Zerbsy, but Hydration's on the Sinclair with the Shiv.
Yeah, I'm curious to see Hydration play this hero. I feel like this does kind of fit his paradigm for the style of heroes I think he likes to play. But Sinclair has historically been a strong laner, and alongside Shiv, it could be good, but a lot of it relies on actually connecting with Matt on the pocket, right? Like if you are landing your nukes on the pocket, I think you're going to be feeling very powerful putting that damage through the negative spirit resist. But pocket can be evasive. It can be hard to hit things like Vexing Bolt on it.
That is true. You can basically, yeah, multiple tools to get out of there. So to collect the satchel, maybe even just some dashes will do it. So, okay, interesting. Well, looking over on the right side of the map, that's where Poshy Pop's going to be playing on the Wraith, just super hard carrying. And I'll also just always shout out Poshy Pop's content, because Poshy Pop does a lot of YouTube content and coaching and stuff like that, and it's super informative how analytical and in-depth he goes, makes it very accessible, all of the knowledge. So, you know, he's got some really cool stuff. So if you're looking for educational stuff, I just wanted to give Poshy Pop a shout out because he's doing a great job.
To see how this game pans out. It's going to be, is it, I'll have to double check if our top bar names are correct. Is it really Tanner on the Viscous? I mean, I guess there's not, you know, I wouldn't be totally shocked, but I guess I'd feel like Yamato would be a more natural fit. But it's kind of like we were talking about, Dan, before the show, right? Like there's a lot of, you know, like teams now having that break, like a lot of opportunity to practice new characters, expand your pool. I think a lot of people were probably already doing that just from the holiday challenge, getting their Christmas tree rolling. I know me personally, I was playing much Heroes and I was like, oh, I actually really enjoy playing Vindicta. You know, I had never really tried it before, and just got into playing some new heroes, played some Sinclair, and you know, I wonder if that didn't get a little bit more players more confident, willing to play characters they hadn't necessarily shown in the past.
That's a good point. Is there any hero, like any like 2 or 3 heroes for you that you like never touched?
There's a few I have never played. I think I've never played Doorman, and I can't remember some of the others. I think there's like 1 or 2 I have barely played, but I won my first game on Sinclair, which is a miracle actually. so I finished my Sinclair in 1, I believe. We'll have to see though, of course, how the Sinclair ends up panning out this game. Ooh, Poshy Pop in big trouble. Big power slash connects on to Poshy. Yeah, this is going to be a dive. He's in real trouble. Yamato, absolutely full HP. Pretty fearless behind the wave, but takes a big burst of damage and has to kind of reconsider that aggression.
Okay, this is looking a little bit sketchy here. We get some assistance coming on through though. Bunny with Clock looking to shut this one down. Nice kill onto Lord and M as well. So attracting some more attention. Arctic gets taken out in a trade, but still better numbers here as it's looking a little bit sketchy for ABG. The flying strike gets connected onto him, but he does have the tower to play off of, and he is Abrams after all. So he is a tanky boy.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to see how aggressive people are being on the lanes these days, right? Like totally willing to go way past the tier 1, bring the rotation even to that part of the map. League, though, has kind of been profiting in the early game. Both he and Matt here, Shiv and Pocket, both have ultimates online early, but I love the idea of funneling souls to a Pocket. Affliction early onto the Shiv. This is just dead to rights here. Tries to get an ult off, but even ends up just wasting the cooldown there. Pretty big kill. That's probably the highest impact kill on the map there, and Matt picks it up. Starting the snowball on Pocket is exactly what you want on this character.
Yeah, you mentioned the tier 1 towers there. I saw actually a note from some newer players, it seems to be, and some other players as well, that there's a sentiment for some that they're not strong enough, that you can't turtle behind them enough. And I'm not sure if there is like a valid criticism there, or if this is from people that just want to chill, you know?
I will say the early game, I think tier 1s are very powerful, but just with the raw damage resist, it's such a high stat. I mean, pretty much can't take a Guardian before, you know, 3 or 4 minutes. It's really, really hard to do. As far as the damage goes, you know, I think that's a bit of a skill issue. You can't utilize the value provides. Oh, beautiful Warden ulti here in the mid lane. Aiden's just feasting on them. Talk about early farm. I mean, that kill on top of clearing some waves, and Aiden has really stepped up to the plate in terms of this farm potential. Floormen falling behind just a little bit. I wouldn't call it any kind of major advantage just yet, but it's exactly the player you want to be getting fed in the early game here. And Aiden, I don't know that we've seen him on the Warden before, so we're speaking to that idea of, you know, new hero pools, players showing that diversity.
Yeah, and there we go. Noxnosha up on top here, trying to catch Lord and M, and Lord and M looking to escape the tier 1. And he will be able to get out of there, it looks like. But yeah, it is a worrying sign. Aiden is crushing it right now. And speaking of tower going down, 6.5 minutes is very nice as well, this level of play. Definitely means that you did a great job on your lane. And, oh, nice. Puddle Punch coming on through. That's going to nail hydration. So, Bunny the Clock, looking like they're in a pretty good position at this point, especially, again, considering the context that Aiden is crushing it on Warden. And if he gets ahead, I mean, Warden's so good at just commanding the game early if he gets ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of high-tempo characters on the side of Bunny with Clock, right? You know, especially with Tanner on this gun Viscous. Like, the souls are being spread around really nicely. Cool Cheese is the lowest soul count, but that's exactly what you want, right? Like, Paradox, I think in this game can just be kind of low eco, just focus on getting those catches, and the rest of the team doing well is a fantastic sign. For the Floormen, they're gonna have to, you know, deal with some overwhelming pressure coming in. That's a really nice kill to find to get that execute on to the Viscous. But Affliction is going to really hurt on Chip here. He's going to have to fall back pretty far, and they know he's afflicted. They're trying to chase down this kill.
And there we go. They're going to get it as well. But what else is there to be had? Hydration chasing it down another. That's a good pick-off. Finds Cool Cheese. And they're looking to convert here. More weakened players being forced back by the Floormen. And you see AVG there really trying to equalize the Guardian situation. Should be able to get this one. There we go, especially with the vaccine bolts. Those things really hurt. And there we are. 36k to 35k as we hit the 8 minutes mark. And the Sinner's Sacrifices have now spawned. So we're going to start to get a movement there. And you can see already on it, Aiden with a penchant for the Gamba.
And a full greed build here from Aiden. I mean, he has, I guess, some, you know, the active slowing hex is allowing him to fight a little bit early. But no investment into green in the early game is pretty risky move here to start this one off, but I mean, so far it's paying dividends. If he can just farm a little bit more, get maybe that green spike online, this could kind of get ugly. As Viscous attempting a roll here, but remember, this is like a very low investment roll. He just doesn't have any kind of spirit damage to follow this up, and he's just going to have to back off from that fight. Matt taking the brunt of the pressure there and just gets knocked down.
Like gun items on Viscous there, I noticed. I think I saw like, what, 4 oranges, I think?
Yeah, he's full gun, I believe. This is the meta these days, at least. You know, people building just like that P90 Viscous. I'm a little bit skeptical, I guess. You know, I'm wondering how much that's really going to look solid against the other top gun carries in the late game. But who made it work? And stun out of the Warden ulti is a really big deal. He's not going to get that off, not going to stick around in the fight. Does what he can with the parry here, but the damage is way too good on the follow-up, and Cool Cheese takes another parry to the face. Floormen getting some traction in this game, and with those kills, they've evened the lead.
Yeah, great stuff there. He also got that 450 soul bag too, so that does help. You know, Aiden was... We talked about how important it is that for Aiden that he stays ahead, so that definitely chips away at that, and AVG and Poshipop doing a great job staying competitive on the souls overall, both almost at 9k. So doing a good job. And you know, with Poshy, he is a ticking time bomb. You have to keep Poshipop honest. His goal is to just farm some more, and eventually decide to just murder all of you and win the game. That's kind of really what Poshipop is looking to do here, and his team is going to be trying to protect that. So I would get worried, Jake, if we don't really see any efforts made to stop Poshy, because he's very efficient on his farming.
Yeah, it's absolutely a key question here in the early game is Floormen holding on to the gun buff for now, trying to feed that to a player who will use it a little bit more effectively. Big spirit move though. On to Matt, gets cut down. Lord and M with that follow-up. The ground strike's going to be enough to get that kill. Mina out of the bats. Slam down from AVG, and this fight looks pretty solid for the Floormen, but there's a lot of low players on both sides of the field. Hydration finds Arctic though, and it's just a 2-for-0. So another solid fight for the Floormen, and the early game advantage in the lanes is evaporated. You know, the early tempo lead that Aiden had, pretty much gone. He's just even with Poshipop. Counter kill is going to be found by Gibbs on the Hydration on the other side of the map, and this could be a nice fight for Yamato, taking a ton of pressure, but dealing a lot of damage. If there's any kind of a follow-up into this one, but seems that there won't be. Yamato just caught alone. Paradox coming in to try to help, but could just throw up good money after bad.
Yeah, and I totally agree. It really looks very, very good right now for Floormen, looking to secure this urn now as well. So grabbing that one, obviously, has to traverse across the entire map. But they have it. So oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Heal Nova Ivy built to be able to support and, you know, get people out of some of these dangerous fights. But for now, just trying to hold the urn, and Floormen have to decide, do they want to run this urn or do they want to stick around for the fight? It seems like the decision is to maybe try to do both at the same time. A bit risky, see if it pays off. The rollout from Viscous should just barely be enough to get him out of trouble. But the rest of the team's still here fighting, trying to clear a Guardian. Shiv is back into this one. But the Floormen players are dropping. I mean, this fight is turning pretty scary as Arctic starts to put that work in on Mina.
I mean, definitely looking to be in a good position to do some damage here, but actually needs some more support, so suddenly in trouble. And Gibbs there with the flying strike, looking to just track down this Lash. Oh, there goes the Death Slam for the save there. Will that be enough to keep Lash alive? It looks like it will be. That's you never want to have to use the ult, but it is there. 50 HP survival, so Lord M barely making his way out.
Yeah, I guess you take that. It's a pretty long CD ult though. Tanner finds ABG, and I mean, this is turning into a real dogfight, Dan. Like, the whole team's just throwing haymakers constantly. Nice parry by Ivy. Perfect timing to still grab the urn. She wants this bad. Grabs the silent X too. I mean, this is full support for Xerxes. I mean, the backstabber is just a nice little value damage item on somebody with such a fast fire rate. But healing Nova into the silence wave, I mean, this is all in terms of assisting the teammates, keeping them alive, trying to assist for kills.
And in the meantime, we look at Gibbs, who we expected might go support, but he's gone all orange. He is looking very, very scary. It's going to be interesting to see how this kind of pans out here. BWC actually ahead on the Souls here, looking to press onto that left side Walker now, and they're forcing a response from Floormen. But do Floormen have enough behind this? Is this going to be a sustained assault? There's 4 players here right now for BWC. But in the meantime, the Urn drop-off spot is being protected. So the Urn is going to walk its way back across the map here. So like you said, a dogfight, scrapping all over the place here as the skirmishing continues on both sides of the map. But that Walker, it looks like it's going to be going down there. This looks like it could be a huge win for BWC.
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, they only dropped 1 player, and Lash, he's here, drops a big slam, takes down Cool Cheese, and Matt drops as well, so they're able to extract the blood price. But that is a Walker going down pretty early into the game, and I think those 2 kills, it's about even, but in the end, I guess you'd rather have the Walker down, and at the same time, Arctic's holding the Urn, so Urn control could be pretty valuable as we come into this next team fight. Lash ulti nearly up off CD, but there's some low players, and Aiden is right now controlling the Urn drop. So I really think this could end up being a tough team fight for Floormen to contest into. Pashi's trying to reset. Hydration's low HP is trying to maybe contest this Urn, but it's not going to be an easy contest, even for Shiv here. Oh, the slowing X can't TP out.
Yeah, the binding word as well. Let's lock it down more, but turning is on through for Arctic. So Bunny with clock, you know, again, it looks like, as you were saying, and I totally agreed, that early lead that they had, it kind of just dissolved. But Aiden managing to stay up on top of things here, and overall, Bunny with clock taking advantage in this game, you know, really leading the tempo, taking it away from their opponents. And with, you know, 16k on Aiden right now, he's still a huge threat. Poshy Pop, though, as we can see on screen right now, is obviously farming, as we said that he would be, and is looking pretty good on it. But is it going to end up being enough?
And speaking of who isn't farming, though, I mean, Arctic and Aiden just running it down. Powerful twosome here in the side lanes. And I mean, there's a downside of having this very passive Wraith, you know, just farming it up, is like the fight's being forced into you. Here comes a real deep attack here onto Aiden, getting silenced, pressure down. The follow-up is good. Mina's doing what she can with the ultimates. They're pretty much just ignoring this Mina, clearing the tower with that stolen Ordinal.
Yeah, AVG trying to get out of there on the Abrams. Absolutely not happening. And in the meantime, we just had the buff spawn. The new Ernest spawned as well. A 1v1 between Poshy and Gibbs on that left side of the map here. Looks like Poshy's trying to chase down Gibbs. Or Tanner, sorry. I keep thinking it's Gibbs. It's Tanner. Gibbs is on the Yamato. God damn it.
Yeah, I mean, being able to win a 1v1 Wraith on the side lane is actually really important at this phase of the game, right? If you can't deal with Wraith alone, it ends up being really annoying. You have to send 2 players just to push her back, and then she just blinks away and continues to farm. But if you can pressure her out 1v1, it really does limit what she can do. Cube guarantees an uncontestable Urn drop here, and they're getting all the souls out of this one. So big win for Bunny with Clock. And Pashy just can't contest this. Has already used the teleport too, and doesn't have a walker to fall back to on this side of the map. So this is a bit of a scary place for the Floormen to play, but they're not giving up this territory easily. They're kind of sticking around, and Lord and M might look for some kind of a cheeky lash ult if somebody tries to contest that wave.
And suddenly, a sizable advantage has started to form. 13k in advantage now for the Bunny with Clock team. So looking to be in a really great position. And I think you made a great point there, Jake, about the lack of presence that Wraith is, well, that's the cost for you with your Wraith farming, is that you have lack of map presence. So you're very susceptible to the other team who is just like pushing you around the map. And that's exactly what BWC have been so good at doing. And I think, yeah, of course, Aiden on that Warden is a really big part of that, able to force the action really effectively with a huge damage threat as well as the tankiness as well. So What's the next move here for Bunny with Clock? They've got a decent amount of map control. They're cleaning up that right side lane as well.
Yeah, I think whenever Warden gets involved, that's when I'm going to be a little bit worried for the Floormen, because I think if Warden gets this ult off, slowing X is insanely good this game. I mean, almost every character on the Floormen roster can get really denied by a slowing Hex, and Cool Cheese hanging out by some of these jungle camps, looking for a nice pod swap. I mean, Wraith, this farm, you really cannot afford to be caught at this stage of the game. But for now, seems like he reads it. He's going to fall back off the play. Toxic Bullets now on Mina, meaning even Shiv really can't stand toe-to-toe with this hero solo on the side lane. So Arctic getting a lot of value. And the swap in from Cool Cheese onto Zerbzy is good. Big pin from ABG, but now has to ulti just to get out of this. Tries to go back in and put some damage down, and he will do a little bit of damage there and counter pressure, but Zerbzy has fallen, and I mean, Matt still has the affliction, so you don't really want to team fight back into this. Gibbs, though, does die, I think, right around that middle walker. Maybe got caught deep with Lord and M's Lash on.
Huge threat there as well. Like, if you lose a player or two more than your opponent in that fight, they're doing the mid boss instantly. So really tense moment, I think, in the game there, which could have gone very poorly for either side had they sort of miscalculated the engagement. But both teams, you know, I suppose, coy enough to prevent that from happening. And we go back to this farming stage. Both teams just cleaning up the lanes, grabbing the farm that's available on the map. But at this point, there's almost nothing left on the map to get. So you're looking at the clock, and you got just under 2 minutes until we get the buffs coming up, as well as the next urn. So right now, it's a lot of just being very careful about your positioning, ensuring that you do not get caught out before the next objective spawn.
Yeah, that mid boss is, of course, really the objective in question now. Interesting seeing this Gibbs build, man. It's like very hybrid here on the Yamato. It has the point blank, and so the gun has all three, right? Like, you know, 4,800 investment bonuses. So Yamato with very mixed damage. This game going to be interesting to try and deal with her. Honestly, all three of the cores really for Money with Clock have a very mixed damage setup here. Then you just add, they're basically all cores in this lineup, though. I mean, even Cool Cheese is a pretty serious amount of gun investment. So Bunny with Clock are not going to be hurting the damage part. The question is, can they survive these engagements? A swap down to the low ground is not what Lord and M wants, though. So this Lash just tries to fall back. Doesn't have the ulti to force this kind of a team fight. Bunny with Clock don't really get any kind of a lockdown connection here. And Flash Buff's up on the high ground, really going to be threatening to bring a lot of damage down to you try and fight here.
Yeah, looking for that perfect engagement, which, of course, the high ground is able to allow him to survey. And looks like a disengagement again. You got to be so careful, especially around this mid-boss. And both teams disengage. We've got a slight edge in terms of the wave crash for the Bunny with Clock team at the moment. And how we got the urn spawning. So this is really what it's all about. And these bridge buffs are going to be challenged for.
Big fight. All slowing Hex here onto the Lash. Tries to come in for a parry, but doesn't quite get it down. And this is a Yamato you're initiating on. She's still healthy. Still Bunnies hasn't even popped the ulti yet. They find Lord and M. He's not going to deploy the Lash ult in this fight. And this is a Yamato, yeah, with ulti. Hydration TP's out of this one. Lift is deployed now. This could turn into a pretty rough fight. Split across the map. There's also an engagement on the left lane. Yamato goes to clear some camps. Bashi's still fighting, but let's go to that left lane if we can. There's a fight going on there. Aiden finds League. And it seems like they're just going to be back up. That Tanner gets the urn control. And Tanner and Aiden work together. They're in a 2v2, so split engagement. And on both sides of the map, it's Bunny with Clock who get the win.
Yeah, really close situation. And the mid-boss is going to get forced here as well. We got the urn on the mid-boss as well. As maybe a prize for afterwards if they claim every single crystal, which they'll be looking to do. And there's not too much here to challenge this. For Floormen, I think it would feel somewhat suicidal, but they're going to try to go for it, try to at least steal away some crystals. You kind of have to do it in this game, and it's not looking all that great right now. All the crystals will be stolen by BWC or taken. Two of them will be eliminated pretty much immediately, so that is a good result for Floormen. They trade a couple lives for that one, and it's a hard call, Jake, but it feels worth it to me.
Yeah, they mitigate the losses, but still the fact that you hold on to one crystal is actually, I think, a pretty big deal for Bunny with Clock. It means, yeah, you only have, you know, one player can get saved. I'm not sure, I think, who lost the rejuve already. I think it was Matt. So anybody but Pocket is going to get a res in this kind of a fight if it takes place here. Hydration trying to contest this urn, but yeah, just can't really do that. Just trying to feign a bit of presence is all he can accomplish in that moment. And interesting healing Nova on Tanner. This is a pretty surprising buy for me this game. I think he's kind of teching into like this weird middle ground between Gun Viscous and support, if he really goes, what is it, the healing tempo, that would really surprise me. I mean, Viscous healing tempo, like, I guess the cube provides it and the healing Nova provides it, but it doesn't strike me as like a typical build-up you might see on a Gun Viscous or even a support Viscous for that matter.
Yes. Yeah, it's actually super interesting. It's one of the things I just love about Deadlock, because in Deadlock, anything can become viable in the game you're playing. But enough about that. We do have the engagement that the threat onto that right side Walker is going to be met with the pretty savage defense. That's going to be ending Poshy indeed. And also the players now on mid, they've got to be careful, because they're going to be now facing the players like just kill Poshy, now coming in on top of this fight, looking to chase everything down. You've got Hydration in a lot of trouble here. He's not going to live here. This Magician is going to get absolutely mauled. And there you go. The cleanup is great there. And now Floormen, they're in an insane amount of trouble.
Yeah, they're trying to just go full chaos, you know, pressure the map on all fronts. Coolcheese in perfect position, though, trying to contest this Walker dive. They are going to be able to drop this Walker. Coolcheese is alone, but to really stick around for this, I mean, if support comes in, things could go really bad here in the side lane. And Aiden's coming into this fight here on the left lane. The rest of the team clearing up Walkers. Here comes Aiden, swooping in now into the back, trying to clean somebody up. Who is it? Oh my god, they're in the wrong neighborhood. Aiden hunts them down, trapped in the small room. Surely they're in trouble. They're trying to put that counter pressure in and hold on. Yeah, he just bit off more than he could chew. Beautiful burst down from AVG and Lord NM, and I don't think Aiden expected that they could turn on him in that kind of a position.
Well, we did WC going to be claiming that right side Walker after all is said and done. You have Gibbs sticking around a little bit, and he might actually get in trouble there, because he's going to get chased. But looks like he's able to escape, cut off line of sight, and AVG pretty deep as well, able to hyperline his way across the map though.
I mean, well done by AVG and Lord NM to actually tango on that side lane, pull a ton of resources and attention, get the kill on Aiden, get the Walker as well. It really mitigated the losses, but elsewhere on the map, it was just full dominance for Bunny with Clock. They got everything they were looking for, and I mean, arguably their strongest character right now is Arctic on the Mina. I feel like this is really the power peak of Mina at this moment in the game, where, you know, not every player is ready to defend themselves from your burst. They just don't quite have the escape options yet, and, you know, your damage can really be felt. Yamato here with the Colossus on top of the Shiv, trying to chase him down, and he's caught, swapped in deep. That's going to be lights out here for Shiv. Floormen maybe getting caught into more Botchbot, brings the lift. He's into this fight, but yeah, maybe trying to just escape out of this one. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it.
Yeah, crazy action here on top of the roof here, as the fight is super vertical, and you got Gibbs down just traversing this wall once again, trying to reposition, and good spots here for Lord and M on this Lash, I gotta say, but his teammates are unable to sustain this damage. The hunt is continuing. BWC just too strong at this point. The differential in statistics is simply too great, too vast to divide, and that's going to be the rest of Floormen cleaned up, all except Lord and M.
I think Lord and M is in a tough spot here. Oh, he does get a trade on a pocket, which is nice. Can you just live a little bit longer? Every second you live here on the Lash, it's a second that the opponents aren't sieging your base. But I feel that siege may not actually be inevitable here, because Bunny with Clock, it's an expensive fight. They lose a few players. They're you know, low on Yamato. Is he really going to build Lucky Shot? This is a really interesting Yam build. So he built initially into a bit of that spirit damage with a max power slash, but then build into a lot of tankiness, and then eventually might close out with some heavy gun damage. And so I actually think that's pretty interesting. It makes Yamato really challenging to itemize against. You can't just counterspell the power slash and you know, try and kite away or have overwhelming damage and silences. You have to worry about all these different potential outputs, and Gun definitely has great late game scaling. An attempt to deny that from League, but this feels so ambitious. I mean, he's just going to be dead to the bleed out here. ABG is adding more pressure on this, but I don't think they can stand toe-to-toe with Aiden right now.
No, absolutely not. This is too much of a force hit, but, you know, they have to take their risks where they can get them. And so many players here now for Bunny with Clock to reinforce this position to continue to fight. But Aiden's actually going to get caught there. Beautiful there. That is so important. Poshipop try to TP away. Is he going to be able to do anything else here? He is pretty farmed. So we'll see if there's more damage, more fights to be won here. Paradox isolated against Poshy. Poshy is going to be bursting him down, but unable to continue to track him. But eventually, traded out.
Sergi tried to fly him out, grabbed him, but they just had just enough damage coming in elsewhere. 3 players down. Floormen, it's only 2. And not much really left to contribute to the fight here for Hydration. Lash ulti, good enough to grab Mina, but ultimately the damage is still there. Matt burst Lord and then punishes him for that being still in the ultimate. But I mean, this continues to be a real bloodbath. I mean, no solid fight that enables Bunny with Clock to really progress into a base seed. Still just competitive enough where they're not getting on. The prize for this fight is going to be, you know, 1 tier 3 camp, which is nice, but it's not going to blow this game wide open. There's still going to be a chance for Floormen to make a defense in the base.
Yeah, it is impressive how well Floormen are holding on from disadvantage, but you know, eventually that's just gonna, like, something has to give at some point. Something has to give, and it feels like, you know, the next bid boss is going to be a decisive moment for sure. That could really just decide this one. And a lot of neutrals have spawned across the map now as well, so there is a lot of farm stuff that needs to be done. So we might be in a stage of, you know, for the next few minutes, somewhat of a lull. I don't think Floormen can easily push into a walker. I don't think they want that kind of a fight. And but then there's also a lot of farm to pick up as well. So I guess this is all the stage 8. The game could cool down a little bit the next couple minutes.
Yeah, Divine Barrier, really nice find for Hydration to be able to pick up that item. It's going to give him a way to respond to Affliction and, you know, save people like Shiv and Abrams who can be in real trouble. And they're going to attempt to burst mid boss. I think it's about to spawn. The Floormen are just waiting for it. Yamato is going back to base, and okay, they're a little bit slow to go for the burst. They don't end up going for the burst. Yamato is going to be able to get into this fight. And Hydration's already down. The burst is good. They're going to go trying to lift. Have a beautiful counter spell. White Aiden blocks the lift. He's still fighting into this one, but maybe getting overwhelmed. Yeah, just swarm hit from all sides, and it's going to be enough. Posh Pop still healthy, still pumping that damage, but here comes Yamato diving in on top. They have to fly Pashi out of this engagement. Zerbzi kills him out. That Affliction's still ticking down, but 2 for 2. Arguably a good fight so far for the Floormen.
And Poshy Pot getting that VIP treatment. Huge save there, keeping him alive. And honestly, it's actually super impressive. Floormen are still surviving in this game, Jake. It doesn't really seem like they should be able to do that, but they are. And okay, AVG's
in trouble.
He's not in a good spot. He's not in a good spot. Okay.
Found out by the umbrella there from Arctic. Yamato is exactly the person you want to be kind of catching this aggro in the mid lane. And he even finds that connection. All right, is there any follow-up for this chase, though? I mean, this is such a deep look here for Yamato. Does have that ulti, so she wants to continue this team fight. I think she absolutely does want that. Punch out is actually going to, I think, get Ivy potentially out of trouble. Stone form. Okay, here comes Surly the burst for the follow-up kill. And Gibbs just has such incredible tankiness, even with all the lockdown that Floormen can bring to bear in that fight. He can still chase in full solo there and be a threat. Ult comes out here, Divine Barrier used, and I think this is going to be a passive reset here. Yeah, no chance to really continue this fight. Gibbs maybe being a little bit ambitious there with that ulti. Still only a 70-second cooldown, but there's a short window of opportunity once Floormen have their players back.
Yeah, especially because you don't have that for the mid boss now as well, which is up there where he's taken. And here comes Poshy Pop, and you got Tana who's just keeping a protection on Gibbs, and there comes Gibbs once again. Now flying straight into this one, into Poshy Pop. Doesn't have the ult though, and that might give Poshy Pop an edge indeed. I don't think that this fight can be continued by Gibbs. Has to fall back here. Poshy Pop wants it. He knows he's weak, and he gets the pick off as well. Massive find, and that is again because that ult was popped earlier.
Man, Pashi is public enemy #1. He's reaching a point where he's really overwhelming in terms of the damage he can deal, but still needs to get bailed out in some of these fights by survival, and the rest of the team isn't able to fight on that level. So while he does clean up the Yamato, it's going to be a mid-boss forced here. Attempted steal coming in. Abrams looking to get it done. Affliction stolen by Hydration, trying to do what he can, but I don't think they can get much of anything done. Floormen all dropping. Pashi not able to come into this fight. Oh no, if Pashi goes down, this could be game over. Mina doing what she can, loses a redo charge, and Pashi actually may have done just the right read there. Barely survives, cleans up one of the rejuves, and maybe a second to go down. No, Cool Cheese is afflicted. Looks like he's just going to go all the way back to base.
Okay, so there's still a lot of ults were used. Pretty much all the major ults were used here. So Flock don't have, they have 2 rejuves obviously, but I guess, you know, what I'm trying to make a case for her is, can Floormen hold on longer? Can they play defense right now? They don't have Death Slam up. They don't really have all that much, I guess, in terms of team fight ults anyway, without that.
Yeah, it's a big question for me is, are they going to be able to contest this urn? 20 seconds left. It's going to be pretty tight. Although Matt isn't insta-running. I mean, he's stopping for a buy, slowing himself down quite a bit. I mean, that's a lot of damage he's going to bring to bear in this fight, but I think the timer is just a little bit too long for Hydration and AVG to be able to get to this urn contest, especially considering the rest of Bunny with Clock are just full control of this area. I just don't see the contest coming in. So the lead is going to be pretty expansive, but Floormen have full resource, full ultimate in this fight. And so it's not going to be a dominant fight for Bunny with Clock. Like, getting a good engagement into this comp, especially on the defense, like, we've seen how good Pasha can be out on the map. And when I think he's playing from the base, just turreting, you know, close to his own fountain, if you don't kill this Wraith, which seems pretty difficult in that scenario, he's going to be a massive problem when you try to siege.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the lead is only starting to extend now as well. And the just in this time where Floormen are scared. They're scared to push out. They're scared to get picked off because they have no map control. Then you got that left lane push. So it's always this very difficult spot to be in because you don't know if you're being held and there's a trap or if they're just free farming the map. And like both things are bad. So like, it's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a scary moment. You know, I think just because like there's pretty much no jungle left on the Floormen side of the map, Bunny with Clock are probably going to be pretty happy to just farm up. They also have 2 curses coming online since the last fight. So there's going to be a curse on Viscous and a curse on the Paradox. So that's going to be a pretty big problem for Rashi Pop, right? This you know, single target Wraith carrying the game, while curse is a powerful response to that. And I mean, this is interesting. Tanner has spec'd early into the gun build and then has pretty much gone full support from there on out. And now is, I think that's actually kind of matching what they need this game. They have plenty of carry potential in the rest of the team. They just need more lockdown, more ability to disable some of these key players. Looking for a swap here on Cool Cheese. People scared to contest into this, right? You get swapped deep into the Reju fight, you could be in real trouble. But man, that turret from Pashi Pop in the back lines is seriously scary, right? It's not going to be free to siege this, but they're going to have to force the fight somehow. I mean, Shrine down to half HP. Here comes the Lash ult, tries to send somebody very deep. It's the Mina. It's a great opening kill to grab. The curse is good enough to take down Lord and M though. And Buddy the Fuck, that's the one player who didn't have the Reju available. So it's a 5-on-5.
Yeah, that's actually a miraculous pickoff there. But what else can be done behind it? Hydration is going down and the siege continues. And at this point, Floormen, they're in a lot of trouble. Pashi Pop, if he can find good positions here to fight with, that'd be great. And in fact, another Reju goes down. In fact, but all Reju's out now. And this is potentially a chance here. League able to pick off Aiden as well. 2 players down. Cool Cheese critically low here. Might be a pick off for Floormen as well, as they might have to go back to the fountain to try to get heals up here. League is almost dies there.
Just perfect min-max on the bloodletting. And a zip drop by Pashi. He's got Cube and DB. Surely this is going to be enough to get him out of trouble. Pashi's chasing for this one. He's thinking about maybe extending. Oh, and even blinks after this one. So it's a full commit from Pashi. This would be a pretty nice kill to find, but Tanner's a slippery one. And yeah, I think he's got to be a little bit cautious here. As strong as you are on the Wraith, it's not a free kill. And, you know, your death is worth infinitely more than chasing down for that Viscous kill.
Yes. That Viscous kill, I don't know what the ultimate impact of it would have been. It would have been pretty great though. But might be more opportunities here because Gibbs is getting bursted down here. Pashi Pop is not alone. He's got friends, and his friends are now starting to tank the damage, allowing Pashi in the back lines here to just send out those cards, send out all the M1 damage. And the damage?
It doesn't seem to be enough. The Lash ulti comes in, finds 2. Arctic though bats out of this one. Still fighting this here on the Viscous, still trying to keep this game going. Down a couple players. Aiden is going to spawn back into this fight as it goes long. Xerxes on just an absolute sliver of HP. The stolen ultimate from Mina, silencing her, trying to lock her down, but she slips away for the moment. And now cleanup could be coming in. Shiv starting to find some of these executes. So many low targets on the other side. Is Aiden going to come into this fight and really turn the tides? It seems like he has. I mean, League is down. Matt as well. Only the last players left here for Hydration and Pashi trying to make this defense. And chasing into Pashi is potentially scary, but no, Aiden, he's got massive damage. You have to put some huge respect on this gun. And he can't even get the TP out, just dies in the animation. Even Hydration surely caught dead to rights here. And Aiden with a big respawn cleanup. And mid-boss, I believe, did it just respawn, or it should be coming up very soon? Actually, I'm not sure, but I guess they lost the Reju, so maybe mid is a ways away? I think the game kind of rests on mid not respawning in the next 30 seconds.
Did Aiden get like 2,500 for killing Hydration there? It's like souls. That's kind of insane. He's going to get pretty damn fat now. I mean, he doesn't have Glass Cannon yet.
Does he not? Oh, that could be game, honestly, right? Like, this is a free mid, AVG, no shot. You're contesting this 1v4. It's just not happening. So he's just going to go down another lane, try to put some pressure on as he can, but yeah, the full rejuve here, going to Bunny with Clock, allowing them to get a full reset, get these buys, get the souls onto the map, and let's see if we can get a look at the Aiden's build soon, and even a delayed rejuve for just like max time to work with here. one shrine left standing for the Floormen. This is a really rough scenario, and the ultra late game I think is also pretty sick for Bunny with Clock just in general, right? Like they're scaling so well in the late game. Pretty much everyone is a carry at this point, and Viscous just has a lot of added utility on top of that.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's really anything that can be done at this point. This is the single worst look because off of a mid boss, because in previous encounters it's been the case where some of the mid bosses charges they got contested, stolen, some were lost in the fight. They were able to just work the map in a way that was more favorable. But right now everybody's up, nothing's challenged, and a 60k advantage.
Yeah,
and
this
what do you do?
it's super painful, right? Because I think you really just have to sit in the base. But a curse pound, that should be a kill. Yeah, Lord and M swapped in the curse pound. Instantly just I think he had half HP and he died to like one lucky shot from Aiden. Aiden is just sending it right now into the base, calling the bluff, and without Lash, arguably, I mean, other than Pashi, that's probably the best pick you can find, because now you're lacking that key team fight ultimate to like turn and punish people for the siege. Vortex Web attempted by Hydration, I believe there, and it brings a lot of people together, but the damage is just immense. They're ignoring everything. Lord and buys the refresher, but he's still on the deck for 35 seconds. They're trying to chase him, get some kills. Matt and Kulchi's both super low. Rejuve crystals, one down for now, but still 2 more crystals to deal with, and Floormen down 1. This is a really challenging hole for them to make.
Here we go. This is not fun. Aiden's just too massive, and it's going to be a massive W there as well, as everybody gets bursted down, and there's no chance to defend. It's a victory for Bunny with Clock. Amazing stuff there, as they are going to move on to the money match.
Pashi Pop in shambles. I mean, a really solid performance from him, but nonetheless, right? Like, this is that so much, the stakes riding on this game were immense, right? Like, you left your old team, and now they come back and beat you, and it's like, ooh, given that Pashi Pop played so well this game, I don't think he should be beating himself up. I mean, I feel like this was a great performance from him. Like, if he didn't have those really sick fights on the Wraith, if that team wasn't playing so well around him, this game could have been over a lot sooner. But, Bunny with Clock showing, hey, we've got a lot of threats on this team. We are way beyond just one player making the difference, being the carry. We can make it work even without you, Pashi Pop.
Yeah, and Pashi, I think he did look really, really good. Like, it felt like his impact was outsized. Yeah, he's a carry Wraith and all of that, but he did really well in the fights to maximize his damage potential in a way where the massive soul differential didn't look nearly as big as it actually was. I think that was because of Pashi. So I totally agree. I think Pashi can kind of hold his head high after this one. He definitely looked good, but ultimately, it was a great game from Bunny with Clock. And I don't know how much of it's down to the draft, but I certainly feel like the draft from Bunny with Clock, with the way that they played it, was really nice. The tempo and performance out of Aiden in the early to mid game, I think was massive, because, like you said, Jake, Pashi was out there farming, and maybe that's the big trade-off. You're going to be more susceptible to tempo drafts where they're going to be pushing down towers very quickly.
Yeah, I really liked, these, especially like the damage from Warden in the ultra late game was insane, but also, Matt and Arctic on the pocket and the Mina just being unkillable late into these fights, right? Like, always surviving deep into the engagement, having enough time to work with, getting that full build online for the mobility. And I think Floormen just kind of fell off in that regard. Like, Hydration wasn't able to have tremendous impact for me on the Sinclair, because so many of these characters are ultra mobile, hard to lock down, and now it's actually Hydration himself who ends up getting targeted in a ton of these fights. And once the curses come down, the game just feels incredibly difficult for Lord and M and Hydration in particular. They're heroes that really rely on the spell casting, the movement, turning a fight, and you're just getting cursed and swapped. Kulchi's 33 assists in this game. Really, really huge kill participation from him. Just, I think, being another really strong force in this game. And Gibbs just being like a big body on the front line, man. Like, full tank pretty much as he built towards the late game on this Yamato, but still very effective and just soaking Pashi Pop's damage longer than just about anyone else in the lobby could.
Yeah, and that damage out of Matt is, I think, really awesome to see, because I felt like for Matt, it was hard for me from an eye test to see like where all that damage came from. Obviously, with the pocket, you're going to be able to get huge damage off of like good afflictions and so on and so forth. But I think it just indicates to me, obviously, that Matt played a really, really good game, and pocket's also such a. I feel like not everybody can have like great performances on pocket, and I feel like for Matt, who was playing like or maining Holiday for a while, at least in some of these matchups here at Fight Night. Oh my god, I did it. no, I'm the first person to
You're
do it in
fired.
2026. Oh, I should get fired. In night shift is really cool to see, because we talked about the evolution of players, and I feel like for Matt, I think finding some good playmakers outside of the holiday, like a Pocket, is really, really cool to see for me.
Yeah, great performance from Matt as well, coming into this roster and looking like, you know, he's been a long time member here. 70k damage nearly on the Pocket, pretty insane. I also think the draft from Bunny with Clock just made this, like, the opener of Shiv and Abrams has been, looks super strong. The frontliners have been rolling a lot of people over, but in this draft, it's tough to be Shiv and Abrams, right? You've got the cube save, peeling people out, and the frontliners you're trying to challenge are Yamato and Warden, with a Pocket and a Mina behind them. So, you know, as tanky as Shiv and Abrams naturally are, they didn't feel tanky this game, right? Like, I mean, look at the build from League. He's got bullet resist and metal skin, and he's still kind of getting chopped up in these fights. I mean, even with the Shiv passive, with all the tankiness that Shiv can bring to bear, and Zerbzy trying to do what he can on the support, it's just not enough. They still can't stand toe-to-toe because there's kind of nothing in the game that deals with, like, these drafts from Bunny with Clock in the ultra late. I mean, there's no tankiness that's going to save you from a full build Mina, Warden, Pocket, and Yamato. It's just a little bit too much. And then when the curses come down, man, it's GG. So Bunny with Clock, a well-deserved win in pretty solid control of this game from 20 minutes. But Floormen, I think did look solid, and Pashipop was undoubtedly the strongest game on the team here from Floormen. So there's things they can build on and could come back better in the future.
Totally agree. And with that said, it's time to get to the MVP. I think probably a lot of people have a good guess as to who it could be. Guessing no longer required. Aiden the Destroyer. His name doesn't even fit in the box. It doesn't even fit.
All right, we're not allowed to add an R to his name anymore. He doesn't even fit in our existing graphic. But yeah, I mean, just a huge game from Aiden, right? I think that, like, late game fight where he's respawning as the fight begins, he comes in and just gets that solid cleanup, ends up just absolutely wiping the floor, even as his teammates have to back out of the fight. Also had a very solid early start to the game. A lot of beautiful counter spells this game in particular. Pashipop just wasn't able to get that lift on him really at all once he had that counter spell online. So really good execution from Aiden, and I believe this is the first time we've seen him on the Warden. So Aiden continuing to look impressive, continuing to grow, you know, what he's able to bring in these games, and just perfect execution is exactly what you need here on your gun carry Warden.
Yeah, he had such a great game, and I mean, for Aiden as well, like, it was really worrying when we got to that, I think that mid-game point, I forget which minute exactly, I think maybe like 10 to 12 minutes, where suddenly everyone caught up, and you could easily see him disappearing, and I think that's the way we were describing it, as Lee kind of disappeared. So Aiden found his way back into the game after that as well. So it wasn't all smooth sailing from start to finish for Aiden. There was a period where Floormen were really competitive and essentially getting a little bit ahead. And so managed to come back straight back out of that, like it never happened. So cool to see Warden really you know, putting the punish on. And I think overall, like you highlighted, I didn't think about it as much initially, but that comp was actually a really nice synergy.
Yeah, that was, you know, it was not a draft I think we've seen too much of in the past, going both Mina and Pocket, but I think versus the heavy front line, and like no Billy in the game, so you're missing that frontliner who can really control mobile heroes. And somebody like Abrams, like if you pin those heroes, it's great, but yeah, just how often are you really going to be able to get that done when they're, you know, using the verticality, playing over the top of your head, and you know, really just giving you a lot of trouble at any stage in the game, much less as we got to that ultra late and it felt like, okay, the draft just came online in a way that you weren't able to match as the Floormen. I think they were hoping for the game to be a little bit faster tempo, where, okay, like you're not really worried about the enemy team getting everybody to a full build status. But of course, we'll have to see if that ends up looking anything similar, anything different here, as it's going to be melee creeps waiting there in the money match to take on Bunny with Clock. And the departure of Pashipop apparently hasn't changed a thing for Bunny with Clock. So we'll see if it does change anything when it comes to the money match. I mean, that's what everyone's been waiting for. And Bunny with Clock proving they earned it themselves. It's not about Pashipop. I believe formerly the team leader of the squad, they're going to do it without him. And we'll have to see after a short break whether he's able to get that win. And, you know, that would be a tough one for Pashipop to swallow if it does go that direction.